As you can see, we're gonna do a seascape. So I'm gonna start out with some yellow, just a little bit of yellow ochre, and I'm gonna place in a little bit of a sun right here. Oh, there we go, that's a little better, a little brighter. And honestly, a lot of this is gonna be sky. Just a lot of it's gonna be sky. Some of it's gonna be kind of a purpley blue and just a little bit of, oh, that's way, whoa. Sometimes you put the wrong thing down. That's definitely the wrong thing. I don't want it near that red. There we go, that's much better. Hey, while we're doing this, let's look at the paintings that you guys did of my last one. It's always fun to see what you're up to and see what you're doing. So if you want to do your version of this painting, be sure to share it with me and I'll get it in the next video if I see it in time. Let's put a little yellow right here across the horizon as well. Just a little, not a whole lot, and leaving a lot of blank area to work with. I'm gonna make a slightly gray color with a little bit of brown. You'll notice I don't have black out here, and that's because I think too much black in this painting would kind of, you know, there's not a lot going on. I don't think I want those punchy blacks. I think I want it more pastel in color. So I just sneak a little bit of that umber in to make a warmish kind of a gray. It may still be a little too dark. Yeah, it's close. I'm gonna make it one shade lighter. No, I'm gonna make it about 3 shades lighter. There we go. Oh, that's pretty. Oh, that's good stuff right there. That's it. And we'll use this to get in some of these little clouds. Several clouds kind of along the bottom. We'll just sort of start working on some of these more distinct clouds. There are several clouds up in here that are almost invisible. Because this is such a soft sky, normally I don't worry about little paint goobers like dried up paint left over in my brush and stuff, or brush hairs, but today I'm gonna be a little more picky about it. I'll leave brush hairs probably, but I don't want anything too funny because there's not much here to distract, you know what I mean? Oh, that looks good. Almost looks airbrushed today. Very, very little paint. The way you get that is by using very little paint. Very, very subtle color changes. I think right about here is the right spot for the sun. I'm just gonna place it in with some overlapping X strokes and white paint, just white paint, because it'll mix very quickly there with the yellow. Okay. I like the overlapping strokes. I think that just adds a little movement to the sky. It's very simple sky. Hopefully it's coming out okay on the camera. Now, in person, you know, I can see these little details and whatnot that I'm doing. I don't know on the camera, so that'll be interesting to see. But that looks good enough. Now, maybe you want to take just a little bit of yellow. You can do that. And just try to get us some extra bits of color. Excellent. See that kind of these just almost darker golden sun rays. I don't know, it's just a kind of a wacky, simple, soft sky. There's not much going on, but it's still a little wacky. I like it. Yeah, to me that's about right. You don't want to drag that dirty color back in. You want to wipe off your brush. Make sure you wipe off your brush. Paint maybe a little more yellow there, a little more yellow in with the white, and call it good. I think I want the corners of the painting just a little darker, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that as well. It's good to do this last instead of first, that way you don't get that green. You'd be surprised how easily green can happen when you're doing that much yellow against the blue with the pastel tones. It's actually a little easier if you don't have pastel tones. All right, there we go. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Get that nice and dark blue-ish. I mean, it's not super dark. Kind of close enough. Right here. Oh, do we dare do this? Yeah, I'm gonna try. I just wanna, and you'll see as I put this in what it's doing. It's just helping create that effect of that sun ray, but rather than painting it in dark, or light, rather than painting it in dark. So the dark then being the shadow, and what I didn't paint there being kind of the streak of the sun ray. That's pretty, and it kind of more or less matches the picture. That's pretty good. That's pretty good, but I think I'd like to go a little bit more with the blending here. So we'll just keep going. Just keep going until you're happy with it. Now I'm gonna get a very, very subtle color, not too bright, right in there somewhere. And I wanna do this last little cloud, very subtle cloud that I see right here. Oh, I know it's so little. I can barely see it in person. I'm not sure you can see it, but it's okay. At least you know, there's one there. There. But if I see it in the picture, I'd like to try to get it in the sky because the sky is so pretty. And I think that's about all we need. Very subtle. Very subtle. But what it helps to do also is just break up that very big blank area. And I think that's nice. I mean, some of the blank areas are good. That's just kind of part of the fun of this sky, the big blank areas, but it just, I don't know, adds a little something. Then any final little highlights, you can certainly do that here. We can always play around with the sky more. Once we get the ocean in, we'll be able to kind of see how bright we need to go. We can always brighten this area up super easy. Well, now I'm going to take off this piece of tape, and that just gives us a nice straight horizon line. And this isn't totally normal, but I went ahead and put just a little bit of clear gel down here. Clear gel and white, actually. It just helps maybe to get a little softer ocean today. So I'm gonna take what I put there, slide it up, so it's all the same consistency. Well, now I'm going to paint in the water area. I'm gonna do this maybe a little different than I sometimes do because, well, that's fun to do a little different. I went ahead and I've got my basic sketch, as you can see there. Got a little bit of yellow and white, kind of loosely mixed, and I'm going to place in a little more yellow than I see in the original photo. This is where I'm probably going to take it and go with it wherever I want to. I sketched with kind of a peach color so that when it mixes here, it won't matter. But by doing my lightest areas first, I got no issues with it mixing. It's not like if you were to paint this all in with like a shadow tone and then try to highlight, then you would have mixing issues. This way we don't. Okay, of course we'll put in the shadows, gotta have shadows, but this way you don't have to worry at all about the mixing. Let's just continue with this color, bring it down. This is actually gonna be right down here, just not really wet sand. Here's the wet sand right here. So there you go, a little yellow ochre as you kind of work away there from that middle. A little more orangey, of course, as you go away from the middle, it gets more orangey. Not too vibrant though. Now I'm gonna work on some mid-tones, not really shadows, just mid-tones. Again, just like the yellow, kind of punching them in and around, maybe not going over the yellow too much. I mean, it won't hurt anything. It won't hurt anything at all, really. But, you know, there's no real need to. So we got one big wave there, maybe a little wave here. Another one right here. See this? It helps to sketch, you know? And then it actually crashes here. You know, it's not perfect. It's not exactly like the picture. I'm not trying to go exactly like the picture because it's just not that critical. But there's a bit of a splash. And honestly, the rest, it's kind of just up in the air. It doesn't really matter, you know. However it comes out, it comes out. I'm not too worried about it. Here, see, it's very flat still. And it is a pastel painting, but there's going to be some pretty dark colors down here. Well, sort of dark. Remember, I don't have black. For a change, I never do that. I always paint with black. I like black. It's just, I'm trying something different today. There we go. Ooh, a little pink. Well, I don't see any pink up here, so I don't want to have too much pink. But don't worry, I'll probably put some purples and whatnot over that, because I do have blue and purple up at the top, so I can reflect that in the sky. Now I'm going to work just a little bit in the purple tones next. This is it's so backwards, so funny, so different. We're working from light to dark instead of dark to light, which is totally opposite and not something normally you would ever do in oil paint, that is. This down here is going to be kind of a sea green. I'm just trying to get all my sky colors in. Actually, this purple's so pretty, I might just, I'm gonna mess up my sky if I'm not real careful. Put some in that cloud there. See, you can go make these adjustments and blend it in. Get a fair amount of this purple back up in here as well. Okay. Less and less as you go toward the horizon. You know, you want to get super soft, really. Super soft. Now I realize that you know, in the picture itself, which we're not really going by too much anymore, are we? It's a very sharp line, but I think for the sake of a painting, you're way better off going with a very soft line. Very soft line for your horizon. Now continuing, but just yet with a slightly darker color. And this, as you see, this color's just got a little bit more blue in it. A little more blue and maybe 1 or 2 shades darker than the last color that I was using, which was that purple. I'm gonna lay in some, this is very, very similar to that color up there. I'm gonna lay in some shadows under here. It's gonna make a big difference. And I don't care one little bit if I get green, finally, because this is an ocean and green is very much welcome. I like this brush, this 3/4 brush, and now I've got the 1/4 inch flat brush. And they both really work well for seascapes. Actually, I got this brush specifically for seascapes. Now, of course, as you know, I use it for everything. But, you know, those landscape brushes just weren't cutting it. I needed something soft. This does the trick. There. Kind of get some, you know, it would be really great. You know, we're not quite there yet, but just imagine if we got, there's a little 1/4 inch brush. If we start to kind of get some foam patterns with this tiny brush, oh, think of the detail you could add. Wow, 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 that's great. We'll keep going though. Just keep going, building up the layer after layer detail. So now I've got a sea green. Just have some umber, some blue, a little red, and yellow. Actually, a little more yellow thrown in there. And no black today again, but we're just going to work in some of these shadow areas. And I got my little 1/4 inch flat. You could certainly use the 3/4 flat. Doesn't really make a whole lot of difference today. Okay, and don't get crazy and absolutely destroy the eye of the wave. Although the picture I'm working from does not have an eye of the wave. How are you going to paint a seascape without doing an eye of the wave? Come on, gotta have one. So there it is. Okay, sometimes it's actually best to lay the paint on just as you see me doing here first, and then wipe your brush. And with a clean brush, when you wipe it, actually get the paint out of it. And with that clean brush, work that color in with the rest of that seascape. Okay, now the eye of the wave looks like it needs a little blending. Blender brush, of course, is good to use for the eye of the wave. Very good. We'll continue and get these shadows in. Now I'm just gonna continue doing exactly what I've been doing here with my dark color. You see, I just shaped the wave a little more. I don't know, we're really gonna need to highlight. I put a little tiny bit of white there and I stopped. You see that? I stopped because, well, I kind of like this in here. It's just soft. It's just soft. Maybe make that a little darker. Oh, that's pretty good. It's amazing how much you can get done by leaving some of your color instead of just covering everything up. And that is one big thing I'm trying to do in this painting. I love this kind of this, I don't even know, every time I mix it up, it gets a little different. It's that sea green, but it's got a lot of variant in it. See that? It's a little more purpley there, a little more green over there. And it's just nice. It's just nice. Nice and dark right there. Good. Just keep on going with this. And right in through here, continuing the same idea. I'm going to punch these little dark areas in, especially along and through here. Now you go slow and don't overdo, because it's going to be very challenging to take these out. You end up starting to have to glop the paint on. I want it to have that kind of just one and done look. You know what I mean? A little bit of a different effect. I've got a bit of a brown mixed up here. Maybe a little blue. Let's add a little blue to it. A little blue, red, just whatever we got laying around. Kind of make a warm, muddy color. We shouldn't have any struggles making a muddy color, right? That should be easy. Let's get in here. And there, get us a nice little bit of a beach going there. So that's pretty much it right there, isn't it? Maybe a little more blue, white. Just get some blue and white here in the corners. That'll be good. Well, now I've got some thinned down white paint. This is a little yellow and white on the fan brush. I'm using the palette knife here, as you can see, to flick it on. What that does is it creates just a little bit more of like a detail. Right down here it's sand. Up here, of course, it would be splash. Up here it would be needed to be blended in. That's what it would need. But this looks pretty nice for what it is. You get a very decent effect pretty quickly. Okay. Now, obviously, that wouldn't make a whole lot of sense, to have it in the dark areas here. So take a palette knife or something and just smooth it. In fact, that doesn't seem to be doing a whole lot, so maybe we'll actually grab it with a brush, but it's actually not a bad effect. Oh, I kind of like that. What do you think? It's kind of neat. Oh, yeah. We're starting to get some texture. Anyway, we'll continue up here as well. If you have this too thin, it'll be too big, and you're not going to like it. Get just a little bit up here to soften. Good. Now, with that slightly thin paint on the corner of the brush, you can technically sparkle a little bit more just by touching with it. Remember, this is thin paint, not liner brush thin, but it's thin. So you want to be very careful not to put too much on. Nice. Yeah, that just gives it a little extra hit of detail, doesn't it? Boom, a little bit right there, a little bit there. Just a little extra detail, especially maybe some right in through here. Little shine spots. Okay. That works. So that just building up that detail. This is so important when you do seascapes to do this. It makes a big difference. Big, big difference, yeah. That looks good. Even some of these down here are not bad. They're just overlapping. Keeping that more in the middle, and then you just darken your color. Yeah, keep going. Then you keep going, and keep going. Like I said, you blend in anything that's not in the right spot. Just get a brush with a little dark or whatever, and blend it right away. You just, because it's so thin, you just touch them and they disappear. Well, that's about it for this painting. I really enjoyed using these soft colors to create a kind of a peaceful little scene. Don't forget to check out our website, DVDs, and brush line. Thanks for watching. Well, hopefully you enjoyed this video. Remember to subscribe if you're not already, and click the like button. It helps me out a lot. Stick around, watch a couple more videos, and stay inspired.